Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us, coming to you from Washington's premier indoor shooting facility. Of course, that is Security Gun Club right here in Woodinville, Washington. Now, I am out here in the People's Republic of Washington, one of the two states that we're going to be focusing on in this video. It's kind of a tale of two states. It's a tale of what happens when you have a really good governor who's willing to do just about anything to protect your inalienable rights versus having a governor who candidly hates any individual right you may have. We're going to show you what happens and how that governor's race is always so very important in every one of those states in which your inalienable rights are actually under attack. So today, let's spend a few minutes. Let's talk about a tale of two governors. Means good for Virginia, bad for Washington. Okay, here's what we're talking about. We are talking about two states on the opposite side of the country, one of which is deep blue, known as the People's Republic of Washington. The other one, ever so slightly baby blue, known as the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, as we know, there was a slew of civilian disarmament legislation that went through both state legislatures. In Washington state, we started with approximately 21 bills. We ended up having 4 passed that headed to the governor's desk. Now, on the other side of the country, over in Virginia, even though the Democrats had an incredibly slim margin in both the House and the Senate, well, that didn't stop them from passing a mountain, and I mean an absolute mountain of civilian disarmament legislation that all headed to Governor Younkin's desk. Now, it's what happened once all of this legislation got to their respective governor's desk that is really the purpose of this video and the difference between these two states. Let's talk about Washington state first. Now, for the hometown crowd out here, we all know what happens anytime a piece of civilian disarmament legislation gets to our governor's desk, because there's never been a piece of civilian disarmament legislation that our governor didn't absolutely adore. So, when presented with 4 separate civilian disarmament pieces of legislation, what did Governor Jay Inslee do? That's right, he signed each and every one of them. What did he sign? Well, he signed House Bill 1903. This now makes it a crime if you fail to report that you yourself have been the victim of a crime within 24 hours. Then he passed Senate Bill 5444, which created all new sensitive places in Washington, including libraries, zoos, aquariums, and public transportation. They also passed House Bill 2021, which adds all new provisions to Washington's gun buyback programs. And then finally, and absolutely the Death Star piece of legislation to come out of Washington state this year was House Bill 2118, which is a carbon copy of California Penal Code 26806. This is the George Orwellian, let's put a video camera on every square inch of an FFL, let's force them to retrofit their buildings, and let's drive independent FFLs completely out of business. What did Jay Inslee do when all of those were dropped on his desk? He happily signed each and every one of them, thus subjecting Washington residents to more civilian disarmament legislation. And this follows in a long series of legislative sessions in which the folks in Washington state have systematically had just about their entire Second Amendment rights stripped of them. Now, let's head over to the other side of the country, because there you had Governor Glenn Younkin, who, and I was wrong about this before, I had said, hey, he is up for re-election. The way it works in Virginia is, no, he's not up for re-election. He will be term limited out. He does not get to run for re-election. That certainly gives you a little bit more cover as a politician, but Governor Younkin had always claimed that he would absolutely positively stick up for the inalienable rights of Virginia residents, and he did exactly that, because Governor Younkin vetoed 30 separate gun bills. Let me say that again. Governor Glenn Younkin of the great state of Virginia vetoed 30 separate pieces of civilian disarmament legislation. And listen, this legislation ranged from all over, from assault weapon bans, high-capacity magazine bans, expansion of red flag laws, and many other various liberal wish lists that we see when they are trying to advance civilian disarmament legislation. Now, the reaction from those on the left and those on the right are as expected, but it really goes to show again how these two states are living radically, and I do mean radically, different lifestyles at the current time. Moms Demand Action was thrilled with what happened out here in Washington state. A spokesperson, in fact, was quoted as saying, "Across his 3 terms, Governor Jay Inslee has honored his word of protecting Washingtonians from gun violence. Under his leadership, our state has become a national leader in gun safety, and by signing these bills into law today, he cements his legacy as one of the strongest governors against gun violence." Well, he certainly is cementing a legacy out here in the People's Republic of Washington, but I would say to that spokesperson, if all of this legislation is truly saving lives, can someone please explain to me why our homicide numbers look like this over the last few years? Maybe it has something to do with the number of law enforcement officers that we have on the street looking like this over the same period of time. Yes, Governor Inslee certainly will cement a legacy. But when we head over to the East Coast, to the state of Virginia, well, this is what Governor Younkin himself was quoted as saying after he vetoed all of these measures. "I swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of Virginia, and that absolutely includes protecting the right of law-abiding Virginians to keep and bear arms." And certainly, while Governor Younkin proved to be a man of his word, his Democratic colleagues were not too thrilled with his actions. State Representative Helmer, who actually had introduced one of the assault weapon bans, was quoted as saying, "For the first time in history, Virginia sent an assault weapons ban to the governor to keep weapons of war off our streets. Today, the governor vetoed it, putting politics above public safety. We won't stop fighting to keep our communities safe." Well, actually, what the governor did was put the constitutional rights of Virginia residents above politics, so kudos to the governor. Now, one of the things that happened in both states, but it only affected those pushing civilian disarmament in Virginia, was this. In both instances, we saw the Democrats working feverishly to lower criminal penalties for repeat offenders, okay? Somehow or another, going easy on lifelong criminals is the best way of solving our crime problems. Now, in Washington, despite the fact that they were doing that, that did not stop the momentum on their civilian disarmament legislation. But the fact that they chose to do it in Virginia, especially with such slim margins, actually proved to be quite fatal for the civilian disarmament legislation push in the state of Virginia. Philip Van Cleve, who is the president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League, was quoted as follows following Governor Younkin's multiple vetoes. "The Democrats and the gun control organizations pushed this year to go easier on violent criminals while at the same time attacking people like you and me. These vetoes are just the desserts for disrespecting the Constitution and minimizing the importance of self-defense for good, decent people." Now, I don't want to suggest that Governor Younkin actually vetoed every single civilian disarmament bill that got before him. No, actually, there was 2 bills that the governor did sign. The first just bans any device such as a forced reset trigger, wide open trigger, auto sear, or anything like that we've talked about on this channel that increases the rate of fire far beyond what a normal shooter can do. The second piece of legislation said that minors should not be allowed access to firearms if there is proof that they could be a danger to themselves or others. But all of the significant civilian disarmament pieces of legislation, all the ones that were designed to just disarm the lawful and responsible gun owners in Virginia, your governor vetoed all of them. Now, this stark dichotomy between what's happening in Washington and what's happening in Virginia is actually not unique. I'm using it as an example for this political stratification that we are seeing in the country right now, where we have a lot of states, almost 30 to be exact, which have greatly expanded and are protecting the inalienable rights of citizens. But those that do not fall into that list, yeah, they're hell-bent on absolutely disarming every lawful and responsible citizen in their state. So the bottom line is, congratulations to the state of Virginia. Washington, we all knew what we got. We know what we get every year when we get into the legislative session, and that is the pain and suffering of those living behind the Iron Curtain here in the People's Republic of Washington. Listen, if you guys got any more questions about this or anything else that's happening either in Washington or Virginia, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. And then let's remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.